There comes a moment in everyone's life when you're faced with a choice. Keep waiting for the perfect time, or decide that this is it, that this is your moment, that it's now or never. We all carry dreams. Some small, some life-changing, but dreams don't come alive because we want them to. They come alive because we do, and the longer we wait, the louder the excuses get. We tell ourselves we're too busy, too inexperienced, too late. But those are just stories we tell ourselves to avoid the truth, that we're scared to begin. The world doesn't wait for anyone. Time keeps moving. Opportunities come and go, and the window for action rarely announces itself with fanfare. It arrives quietly, in the form of an idea, a tug on your heart, a whisper that says, "This could be your shot." But if you don't act, that whisper fades. Not because the opportunity is gone, but because your belief in yourself starts to slip away. There is no perfect moment. There is only this moment, right now, with all its imperfections and uncertainty. Right now, with your current resources, your current doubts, your current fears. If you wait for everything to be ready, you'll wait forever. Readiness doesn't come before action. It comes because of action. If there's something you want to build, start. If there's a conversation you've been avoiding, have it. If there's a step you've been afraid to take it. Because the pain of trying and failing will always be less than the regret of never trying at all. Regret is heavy. It's not about what we did wrong. It's about what we didn't do when we had the chance. You weren't born to sit on the sidelines of your own life. You weren't made to play it safe and shrink yourself down to fit expectations. You were built for purpose, for challenge, for impact. But purpose doesn't show up fully formed. It reveals itself through movement, through effort, through risk. So stop overthinking, stop postponing, stop imagining every way it could go wrong, and start imagining what might happen if it goes right. What if this is the beginning of everything you've been hoping for? What if this moment, this decision, is the one that changes everything? You will never feel fully ready, and you will never be without fear. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the choice to act in spite of it. So choose now, choose bold. Choose to step forward even if your voice shakes and your hands tremble, because the truth is simple, it's now or never. Waiting for the perfect time is one of the most common traps that hold people back from doing meaningful work. We convince ourselves that once things settle down, once we have more time, more money, more clarity, more confidence, then we'll start. Then we'll launch the business, write the book, have the conversation, chase the dream. But here's the truth that's hard to accept. The perfect time doesn't exist. It never has and it never will. There will always be something unfinished, something uncertain, something inconvenient. Life isn't designed to pause and make room for your plans. It keeps moving relentlessly and unapologetically. What we call waiting for the right moment is often a way of avoiding the discomfort of beginning. Starting something new means stepping into unknown territory. It means making decisions without guarantees. That's uncomfortable, and discomfort can feel like danger. So we rationalize the delay. We tell ourselves we're being responsible, that we're planning, that we're being strategic. But often we're just scared. Scared to fail, scared to succeed, scared of what people might think, or even scared of what we might discover about ourselves. The irony is that starting, right now, in the mess, in the chaos, in the uncertainty, is exactly what builds momentum. It's not clarity or readiness that leads to action. It's action that leads to clarity and readiness. The first step, no matter how small, generates motion. It forces you to confront reality. It gives you feedback, teaches you something new, and helps you make the next step a little stronger. You don't need to see the entire path. You just need to take the next step. The fog only clears once you start walking through it. We often imagine that the people we admire, entrepreneurs, artists, leaders, began their journeys fully formed. But if you listen to their stories, you'll find they started with little more than a hunch, a problem, or a deep sense of urgency. They didn't wait for everything to line up. They began where they were, with what they had, and figured it out along the way. That's how anything worth building is created, not in perfect conditions, but in real ones. Every day you wait is a day you don't get back. Time doesn't pause while you get ready. Life is happening now. Opportunities are passing by now, and the truth is, You're never going to feel 100% ready, but you don't need to be. You only need to be willing, willing to act in the face of uncertainty, willing to move with incomplete information, willing to risk being imperfect in pursuit of something meaningful. That willingness is what separates those who dream from those who do. So if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. If you're waiting for permission, give it to yourself. If you're waiting for the perfect time, understand this. There is no perfect time. There is only now, and what you do with now determines everything that comes next. We often believe that readiness is something we need before we begin, that we have to be fully prepared, fully confident, and completely equipped before we take the first step. But that belief is a myth. Readiness is not a starting point. It's a result. It's something that grows through movement, not stillness. You don't become ready and then act. You act, and through that process, you become ready. The problem with waiting to feel ready is that the feeling rarely comes on its own. Readiness isn't delivered to us like a package. It's earned. It's built slowly, quietly, step by step, as we engage with the unknown. You gain readiness when you make the first call, even though your voice is shaking. When you submit the application, pitch the idea, write the first page. These are the small acts of doing that begin to shift your internal state. Every action adds weight to your belief that you're capable, not because you've proven anything to the world, but because you've proven something to yourself. When you stay in your head, you create distance between yourself and reality. You imagine all the ways something could go wrong. You rehearse failure in advance. You convince yourself that if you wait just a little longer, you'll feel more certain, more qualified. But that feeling rarely arrives, and in the meantime, the distance between who you are and who you want to become only grows. That distance can only be closed through action. Action reveals what thinking cannot. It exposes your assumptions, challenges your fears, and forces you to adapt in real time. More importantly, it teaches you that you can handle the discomfort of not knowing everything. It teaches you that fear doesn't have to mean stop. It can mean go, cautiously and courageously. Readiness grows from those moments when you do the thing you thought you couldn't do, and realize you survived it. Maybe it didn't go perfectly. Maybe you stumbled. But you did it, and now you're stronger. This is the reason so many people stay stuck in the planning phase. They're convinced they just need a bit more time, more research, a better strategy. But all that preparation can quickly become procrastination in disguise. We get caught in the illusion that more knowledge equals more confidence. But confidence doesn't come from knowing. It comes from doing. The most confident people aren't the ones with the most information. They're the ones with the most experience trying, failing, learning, and adjusting. So if you're waiting to feel ready, ask yourself this. What if readiness isn't something you wait for, but something you generate? What if your willingness to begin, right now, imperfectly, is exactly what will lead you to the strength and clarity you're hoping for? Stop waiting to feel ready. You are more ready than you think. The only thing missing is your decision to begin. And once you do, you'll realize you've had what it takes all along. Fear and doubt are not signs that you are weak or incapable. They are signs that you're stepping into something that matters. Too often, we treat fear like a stop sign, assuming that if we feel anxious or uncertain, it must mean we're not ready. But in reality, fear and doubt show up most when we're on the edge of something meaningful. They don't appear when we're stuck in routine or hiding in comfort zones. They appear when we're challenging ourselves, when we're thinking about doing something bold, vulnerable, or important. And that's exactly why we can't wait for them to go away before we act. Everyone feels fear. Everyone hears the voice of self-doubt. It says, what if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if people judge me? That voice is loudest when we care the most. It tries to protect us from pain, embarrassment, and rejection. But if we always listen to it, we'll protect ourselves from growth, fulfillment, and success too. The presence of fear doesn't mean something's wrong. It means something's real, and the antidote isn't to silence the fear, it's to move forward with it still ringing in your ears. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the choice to act despite fear. It's acknowledging the fear and saying, you can ride along, but you don't get to drive. The people who make a difference in the world, who achieve great things, who change lives, including their own, aren't fearless. They're just unwilling to let fear make their decisions for them. They choose progress over paralysis. They take the step anyway. Doubt is similar. We think we need complete belief in ourselves before we start, but that's backwards. Belief doesn't always precede action. Sometimes action is what builds belief. You begin before you're sure. You start when you still question yourself. And then, as you move forward and see what you're capable of, you start to believe it. The confidence comes after the step, not before. It's earned in the doing. It's important to recognize that fear and doubt don't mean stop. They mean stretch. They mean you're growing, and growth always involves risk. There is no way to expand who you are without encountering resistance. But that resistance is exactly what makes you stronger. It's in those moments of doubt and discomfort that you build resilience, grit, and character. So don't wait for fear and doubt to disappear before you begin. Start while they're present. Take the small step. Speak up even if your voice trembles. Move forward even if your knees shake. Because the only way to get to the other side of fear is through it. And when you do, you'll find that you didn't need to eliminate fear or doubt. You just needed to stop letting them lead. Your strength isn't in your ability to avoid fear. It's in your willingness to act in the face of it. That's where true confidence begins. Regret is a quiet ache that doesn't shout like failure, it whispers. It doesn't come from what we tried and failed, but from what we never had the courage to start. When we think about the choices that haunt people the most, they're rarely the risks that didn't work out. They're the moments when someone said, "I wish I had. I wish I had spoken up. I wish I had taken the chance. I wish I had started when I had the idea." That's the painful weight of regret, not from action but from inaction. Failure is visible. It has a story. You tried something. It didn't work. Maybe you learned something. Maybe it changed you, but at least it happened. Regret, on the other hand, leaves you with nothing but questions. No lessons, no story, just silence. You never know what could have been because you never stepped into the arena. The opportunity passed, and you stayed behind telling yourself, maybe later. Maybe someday, but someday is not a date on the calendar. It's an excuse that slowly becomes a habit. We protect ourselves from short-term discomfort, fear of embarrassment, judgment, effort, by avoiding action. But in doing so, we set ourselves up for long-term discomfort in the form of regret. The regret of time lost. The regret of potential wasted. The regret of never discovering what we were really capable of. That's a cost we rarely consider in the moment, but it always comes due. Think of the dreams you've shelved, the ideas you've buried, the conversations you've avoided. What stopped you? Was it really the circumstances, or was it fear? Fear of imperfection, fear of not being enough. And yet, if you look at the people who inspire you most, they're not the ones who waited. They're the ones who started with shaky hands, who were willing to fall, who chose the discomfort of action over the comfort of inertia. They didn't avoid failure, they accepted it as part of the journey, and because of that, they don't live in the shadow of regret. Regret compounds over time. The longer you wait, the more the dream fades, the more the doubt grows, and the more difficult it becomes to start. Eventually, the door closes, not because it was locked, but because you walked away from it too many times. But the good news is this: you can choose differently, right now, today. You can take one step toward the thing you've been avoiding. You can disrupt the cycle of delay and choose action over hesitation. The truth is, life is short, not in a dramatic, poetic way, but in a deeply practical one. We don't get to do this over. Every moment you hesitate is a moment you don't get back. So act, try, risk, fail if you must, because even if it doesn't go how you planned, you'll walk away with something real. Experience, growth, courage, and no haunting question of what if. And that is far better than living with the slow, dull ache of regret. Purpose is not something you stumble upon in a flash of brilliance. It doesn't come pre-packaged or arrive one morning with a note that says, "Here is the thing you were meant to do." For most people, purpose isn't found through thinking, it's revealed through doing. It unfolds slowly, piece by piece, as you take action, make mistakes, help others, solve problems, and push beyond what's familiar. The people who live with a sense of deep meaning didn't wait until they had all the answers. They went out and created something, and in that process, they discovered why it mattered. We often make the mistake of believing we need clarity before commitment. That if we just think a little harder, research a little longer, or reflect a little deeper, we'll finally know what we're here for. But clarity is often the reward for commitment, not the prerequisite. When you take action, especially when the path isn't certain, you start to see what lights you up. You notice what energizes you, what challenges you in the right way, what feels worth, while even when it's difficult. None of that comes from standing still. Doing activates a feedback loop. When you try something, you gain experience. That experience gives you insight. Insight leads to adjustments, and those adjustments move you closer to what fits. It's a process of discovery, not declaration. No one sits down and perfectly defines their life's purpose on day one. It's in the trying, the failing, and the reflecting that something deeper begins to take shape. This is why waiting for inspiration or certainty is such a trap. It feels productive because you're thinking, planning, imagining, but you're not actually getting closer to answers. In fact, overthinking often makes things murkier. You start to doubt your instincts, compare yourself to others, and hesitate to make a move. Meanwhile, the only thing that would actually give you clarity, action, is being delayed. Purpose also evolves. What drives you today might shift as you grow, and that's okay. There is no single, fixed mission that you must identify once and follow forever. Instead, your job is to stay in motion, to keep listening, trying, and adjusting, to keep choosing impact over perfection. Every project, job, relationship, and challenge teaches you something about what matters to you, but only if you engage with it fully. Doing gives you a sense of agency. It reminds you that you are not waiting to be chosen. You are choosing. You are creating a path, not waiting for one to appear. And as you build, something unexpected happens. Other people begin to resonate with your work. They start to connect to the thing you're building. That resonance is a powerful signal. It tells you that what you're doing matters, not just to you, but to the world around you. So if you want to find your purpose, stop searching and start serving. Start creating, start moving, because meaning isn't something you wait for. It's something you build, one decision at a time, and it always begins with action.